We're just curious if you're going to let us in the debates.
No, we're not. This is private property, and this is invitation only.
Invitation only? Yeah, that's fine. I was just curious. We showed up to find out. We're curious. And somebody said it was a percentage threshold. You don't do that anymore?
I don't know. It's a private event with a private organization.
And who's running it?
New Hampshire Journal.
New Hampshire Journal? All right. And so no primary candidates other than Ager and Morse?
That's up to them, and that's from what I understand, yes.
That's up to New Hampshire Journal.
Yep.
Is somebody from New Hampshire Journal here?
Not out here.
Could you ask if they would come out and talk to us?
Not right now because I'm out here.
Could you go in?
No.
Why not?
Because
Could somebody go in and check?
No.
Why not?
Because we're not.
Huh?
Fair question, though. It seems like they're pre-selected.
Can we do me a favor? Can we go out here off the property?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure can.
So...
Yeah, so it makes a pre-selected environment where if you're going to have a debate and you want to learn who's the best candidate, it shouldn't be determined by who you pick to have on the debate. And so it's very shady and untransparent to the rest of the world for the state's voters.
That they would rig this
very
thing.
Unfair to pre-select your candidates and not give the opportunities to the other potentials, especially when there's 30% of the vote that they're ignoring.
For other, and we're the other.
I'll pass that on to them.
I appreciate that.
Could you ask one of them if they could come out and talk to us and try to maybe get us on tonight? I think it would make for a much better discussion and debate.
And you know Frank?
Yes.
Okay. And so that's my phone number, and if there's anything that does come up that where I do or he does fit your mold, could you contact us so we can be a part of it? Yes. Thank you. I mean, not trying to be hostile here. This is just for...
Let people know. This is transparency.
Us to promote ourselves and show why. Because what's happening is Chuck goes to places and says, oh, look, I'm the only one. That's a statement that he's been saying at different ones, call them rallies, big gatherings, things that he does. He says, I'm the only one that's on. Well, we're here. We didn't get invited. We just want to make sure people know we're not excluded. So that was my main reason. So people don't think that I didn't think that I really worked at my time. Yeah. Run around with an open can of soda in your back pocket, waiting to sit down. Hey. Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a little ridiculous. Could you try to see if somebody from New Hampshire Journal is available? Hi, how's it going?
New Hampshire Journal is available?
Yeah, to talk to us. We're trying to get into the debate. We're on the ballot. Both of us.
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta be on my way. I didn't. Oh, you're Frank.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. How's it going?
I was there. I was there.
You were
at that
there?
meeting.
I would normally
I had to leave.
Which one? The New Hampshire 9 one?
The 9.
Yep, the 9
I
arrests.
couldn't watch it. Wow.
Did you see what they did to the women and children? And I mean, for saying amen, allegedly.
Uttering.
Yeah.
Uttering amen.
Yeah, it was a convenient way to get rid of a thorn in his side.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
Is there any
I
way?
would let them know, but I'm not going to go in there now because there's one guy and he's about to ask questions.
Mr. Ager.
He might be able to get somebody for us. Sir, Chris, would you be able to see if somebody from New Hampshire Journal would come out and talk to us?
They're busy getting ready for the debate.
Yeah, we're trying to get in there. We're on the ballot.
Oh,
Me and Sean.
yeah. Well, it's a private.
I know, we know it's a private debate,
Right.
I
but
had to get an invite to come.
Right. So,
So-
it makes you wonder, why would a private debate only invite these two? If it's the first debate of the year, why wouldn't you
Yeah.
have more than 2 candidates to pick
Yeah.
from?
Well, that's the beauty of private enterprise in America. Private people get to decide what they want to do.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's also the tip of corruption.
right, it's also election interference.
It's selecting candidates not
What do you
leading
think
to
about
election.
that?
What's that?
What do you think about leaving us out of the polls and all that? All the candidates that are on the ballot.
So, do you want the government to dictate, or do you want the private guys to determine? If private guys determine, they determine. It's up
They
to
don't
them.
get to determine the elections. You think private people should be able to pay to buy these elections?
No, I didn't say that.
That's what it sounds
And
like.
what you're talking about is maybe a good reason you're not in there.
Oh, because I'm going to bring up real issues
That's not a real issue.
that people are bought and paid for
not
with
real.
strings attached? That is a real issue. You know it is. Give me a break, Chris. You're telling me there's no corruption in government?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
Okay, so are there no bought and paid for candidates?
You know, you're worse than most of the. You're worse than every reporter I talk to.
Oh, yeah.
They give me real questions.
This is so
No, you're giving me a question that has an answer that you want to lead to. You're not saying, "Hey,
I have a good
I
question.
have a." Yeah.
Where's the next thing that the New Hampshire GOP is going to have candidates where all the candidates could go?
Yeah, we don't host debates.
why not?
Maybe you
Primary.
should.
We might, maybe we should. That's
Because I notice when I
that's-
host debates,
Yeah.
your candidates don't come.
No, but that's
So-
a good question. Is to why don't we consider the debates? That's a good
That
question.
is a great question.
I've been mentioning it on Twitter.
And
A lot
we-
of people.
How long would it take to set that up?
It wouldn't take long, but then we
Well, let's
then
do it.
we have to look at what we did in the primary. We
Yep.
worked with like CNN. You know, there was no debates
Sure.
then because Trump didn't debate.
Right.
Well,
They
he's the
decided
only
that.
one that fit the mold, is what they said. You know,
He
they
was
had
the
the
guy. He was
criteria.
at the guy at the top of the ticket.
Right.
And so if he wasn't there, then they just say, "Hey, these are not going to be interesting debates. Nobody's going to watch." We considered doing debates. We looked at it, and then we looked back in history. And when counties had run something that looked like a formal debate, it ended up costing the party a lot of money because candidates where there was a threshold didn't make it, sued the party or the county, and so it ended up costing them a lot of money.
Well, that's why.
And the counties,
Maybe they should have been included.
well, but the counties won the court cases.
Sure.
But you know, it's kind of like lawfare. You know, somebody.
It's-
so it kind of
Right.
discourages the party from doing debates because we can be sued. These guys have a harder time being sued.
Well, there's a
because it's
precedence
private.
now.
Yeah.
So from that case sets a precedent. So there should be no issue with setting
It
up a
should be,
debate.
but we have 3 lawsuits that the party has been paying for. All 2 out of the 3 have been appealed. We won on appeal. Then there were additional injunctions, and so people can use the system to bleed you for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And so
for
that's
sure.
one of the considerations that we looked at in hosting debate. We go, okay, how do we set our criteria?
Well,
How do we, and
what if we went at it through my LLC that I made for my campaign? Then it's the only liable thing is limited liability.
Yeah, we can use our campaigns.
no, but I mean, the party
Because I
during
already,
a debate, we open ourselves up to being sued. And Andy Martin, for example, has sued multiple times, cost tens of thousands of dollars to the party. I need to win elections instead of paying lawsuits.
What if we do a private debate and we invite the GOP to participate and get all the
You
other
could.
candidates?
Yeah, you could.
well, I've done that and they don't come.
But if you guys were there and we're saying, yeah, let's hear all the candidates, maybe even have preset questions.
I wasn't.
All of us on
You
one
know?
day.
I wasn't invited to this
You
one
know, I show no bias. You come on
at
in
all.
and answer
And
questions,
this
right?
afternoon, I said, "Hey, I'd like to come."
I'd rather hear all the
And
point
then
of
they
view.
said, "Okay,
The way
yeah,
I
you can come. We'll put you on the
honestly,
list."
yeah.
So we weren't even invited. I wasn't even invited to this debate.
Right. I mean,
I was giving you a hard time earlier, but
agree with
you
that.
have a good,
Saying
you have a legitimate concern.
it's not just me either. It's a lot of these other candidates.
You have a legitimate concern, and
Because she's trying to sell herself.
you know, I was
and
harassing you a
she's
little bit
I agree
earlier.
with that,
You're
but
friendly
yeah,
harassment, but
It's fine. I
take
have
it.
thick skin. I have
No.
thick skin. We know each other.
yeah, no, not only thick skin. You took it really well, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, to let
Yeah,
everybody
so
get
I,
their
you know,
piece,
we looked
brings
at
more.
we really looked hard at. I wanted to do
There
a debate.
again, the dumb question
for
is the one that
Congress,
isn't asked.
Both CD1, CD2,
So
and
if
governor.
nothing is
And we looked at it.
brought
We looked at the history of the party doing debates and the
something
lawsuits.
happens while you
and we
well,
said,
say you're
man,
in the
it
governorship.
puts us
and
too
also
much at
never
risk.
pissed.
Can we have
That
this,
wasn't
like the
discussed.
state do it with a
governor
debate with the
know how-
Democrats and the
You
Republicans?
know what I can do? I'll talk to Neil because Neil in the presidential, they did multiple debates.
What party?
And they said, hey, all the big guys are going here, but we'll do other
Talk about
debates,
us,
and we'll give that
JFK.
visibility, and we'll run it.
That's the
And
thing. He could
I saw
continue
some
to
of
try
those.
to
They
get
had,
on ballots.
everybody. They invited everybody who was on the ballot.
Lawyers,
How about
lawyers, millions of
inviting
dollars,
everybody to speak
time spent.
in Reps Hall,
And that's the
and
bad thing about
people can
our
answer
country
questions
right
as
now.
well. Each candidate gets a certain amount of time, and people can come up and ask questions.
Let me
What
ponder
is
on that
frivolous?
just a little bit.
What's frivolous to me may not
Talk to
be-
maybe
I-
David
When I'm watching
or something.
I'll talk to Neil
If you
first.
go there for election
State
fraud
House,
and they
maybe,
throw it out because they
but,
say
you
they
know,
claim that
if
it
people wanna
affects
get up
every
there and
single
talk,
citizen, and so
and
it has
people
no
want to vote
stand,
for you,
no stand,
great.
have to put it on
If
the
they
ballot.
don't, that's okay too.
Okay,
Right,
so we're
sure.
going to correct
Just
election fraud
let
on a
everybody see
ballot.
everybody.
Yeah.
I don't have a disagreement with that at all.
And then people can't say, "Hey, I was left out. I wasn't given a
Yeah,
chance."
we'll just, let the marketplace
So
of
what happened
ideas
was in
have its thing.
October,
But
That's
yeah,
what I'm
this
talking
one,
about.
some
I
legislation
got
and
invited
held a public
this
hearing
afternoon.
on Halloween.
So
Well,
you can
yeah,
imagine
if you
not
can
being voted up.
drop some bugs in some ears,
I will.
I'd appreciate
I
it.
will, and you know, it
Geez,
can
made
be
it
a
onto
friendly,
the
hey, come on in.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Get a
But
fair
what
moderator.
happened was they took
Like, if
what
I did
they
a debate, I
originally
would
said
never
would
have a
become
criteria.
a trial period.
Because one of them, the one that really we looked at hard, was
And at
they
the
had a
end of that,
criteria.
we
says,
vote on it.
if you
And
don't
they
win,
switched it
are you
midstream,
going to support the
but because
eventual
there's
nominee?
Oh, right, right.
going on
And
about it, it's
that's
easy
not
for
how.
them
That's
to
not my
just
style. My
talk
style is
about it.
not. I don't
You
put
never
conditions
let
on you.
legislation
I say, no, you're in for government. You want to come talk? Come and talk.
So
There would be no
that's kind of the
conditions.
cookie jar that
So we looked
Chuck's
at that.
handling right now.
But you have a valid point. I will give you
This is
that.
Frank Siegel.
Appreciate it.
You got a valid point.
He's my
Thank you.
best competition.
Yeah, Sean, good to see you.
He's been tipping me off to so many of these things.
Good to see you, man.
Thank you
You're
so
looking
much.
pretty- You're looking good.
I appreciate it. Take care, Chris.
Frankie.
Thank you.
Bobby.
What's your name?
Bob McCarthy.
Oh, yeah,
No,
Bob.
This is Frankie now.
Oh, we know each other.
Yeah. Born to ride 45, baby.
Mr. Mac.
Woo. You shaved your beard.
Yeah, I had to take it down.
That's why I didn't recognize you. See ya.
All right,
There we
gentlemen.
are, standing on the street all
There
by
we are, all by
ourselves.
ourselves.
I'm glad you guys showed
No, I appreciate you talking to us. Thank
Hey,
you so
I know
much.
Chuck's fine. I mean, I'll tip the side.
Yeah, my wife's over there. I gotta go.
Have a good night.
So you want to promote?
So there it is, folks. We showed up to try to see if we could get into this debate, and it's just Kelly Ayotte and Chuck Morse allowed. It was nice to talk to Chris Ager, and hopefully we can get full debates with all the candidates that are on the ballot in the near future. Stay tuned.
My record on education freedom. First of all, Chuck Morse voted against education freedom accounts in 2004. He joined with the Democrats to do that. We could have had it in place for the last 16 years if he had had the spine to do it at that time. But also, on that same bill that he's citing, I voted for an amendment by Senator Tim Scott. There was a better amendment that allowed Title I funding to follow the child and allowed that funding to be used by private schools or whatever venue is best for that child. So I just want to make sure that people understand that. There was the same bill, and there was just a better amendment by Tim Scott, which I was proud to support, and it supports education choice.
You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, let's be clear. She voted against education choice for low-income families. She can't deny that. I made sure in 2021 that we passed it. We passed it in that budget in 2021. We created education freedom accounts in New Hampshire. I'm going to work as governor to make sure every child gets to take advantage of education freedom accounts.
I guess I'm wondering why he didn't get it done in 2004 when he joined with Democrats to kill it. So we would have had that in place here in New Hampshire. But listen, I'm married to a teacher who teaches math at the Catholic school. I've served on our school board. I've seen education freedom accounts in operation and how important they are for parents in New Hampshire, and I will fight for them.
One last.
Well, let me be clear, and I'll switch the subject. She was the chief law enforcement person in our state when these kids were being raped and brutalized in the Sununu Center in 2005, 6, 7. That's when she was there. She was the chief law enforcement officer. So if she wants to talk about failures of what she hasn't accomplished, let's talk about that.
30 seconds.
This is what's so sad about Chuck Morris in this campaign, that he'll say or do anything. We were actually at a forum on June 21st in Chester when Frank Staples raised this conspiracy theory, and Chuck answered it himself and said,
make an attempt at some Q&A, and we're going to basically allow our two leaders to figure out who might want to answer the question first or second or whatever. Are there any questions from the audience? Does anyone have a... Yes, sir. Come on up. Introduce yourself and say your name and then whatever question you have.
My name is Frank Negus Staples. I am a Republican candidate for governor. And this question is for either candidate. And I know that Kelly Ayotte says she's the greatest threat to the state, and she may be. She's about to bankrupt this state if she doesn't address the YDC situation and the 2,000 children who were abused, and she was tasked to protect under RSA 7.6 and 7.11.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, so what is she going to do, and what is Chuck going to do to address the inevitable bankruptcy of this state from the YDC sex scandal?
Could you say your name again?
Frank Staples.
Thank you, Mr. Staples. You there?
Let me tell you what leadership's all about, and I'm proud of my leadership in the New Hampshire Senate. We were dead broke several times under the Democrats. The Shaheen administration, we were broke after that. Craig Benson worked with us so that we built up a pot so we had money. Then the Democrats took over, and in 2011, we were $800 million in the hole, 100 new taxes and fees. The Republicans took over at that point in time, and they built a pot that they made sure that we were a prosperous state. And as we started to take on the challenges of the Sununu Center, let me tell you what we did. We actually went in and not only kept the money in that account, we assigned $100 million, and the legislature just went back and assigned another $60 million to make sure we can pay our bills as we go through this. This was a very difficult time period for the state of New Hampshire. Understand that when this was happening, none of us knew. And I certainly believe that now that we know we have to make changes, I'm going to let Cal talk, but the fact is I have a plan for DES that I think will work to make sure we take care of our children.
There's no doubt, thank you, Chuck. There's no doubt that the most important thing is taking care of our children. And what happened at YDC, completely unacceptable. And I think many of you know me. I was a murder prosecutor. I put bad people away. I spent a lot of time doing that. I sat with victims of crime of every form. And so nothing is more important to me than holding people accountable who have committed crimes. And so unfortunately, we didn't know what was happening there, but we now do know. And so we're going to rectify the situation and make sure it never happens again. And by the way, it goes beyond YDC. If you look at what has happened at DCYF and some of those cases where children have died, and they should have never died because unfortunately things fell through the cracks. Well, we can never let that happen with children when an issue is at stake. You know, you think about those little girls who were killed in Manchester. Wrong. And so, yes, fiscally responsible in how we do things, but accountability is going to be a mark, certainly, of what I brought to the table when I personally prosecuted cases, including putting the person who killed a police officer in the line of duty. I personally prosecuted that case myself. And if I find out about any wrongdoing when I'm governor, trust me, they're not going to want to see me.
Is there another question? Anyone? Yeah, I got a question.
When Frank Staples raised this conspiracy theory, and Chuck answered it himself and said,